What is going on, guys? My name is Ben. How are you guys doing today? What I have for you today in this video is I'm going to talk about, again, Google self-driving cars. Now, a few weeks ago, I did make a video talking about this, but what I want to mention in this video is that Google is trying to push the Google self-driving cars to its limits. So basically, there was an article that I read, which link will be in the description below. Definitely give it a read. And so far Google has tested it in Mountain View, California, and Austin, Texas, but really, that's more like in a good condition or in a better condition. Meaning like, okay, it's sunny out, it's cloudy, but it's nice and dry. Now they're taking it up to Kirkland, Washington, where it supposedly it constantly rains over there. So now they want to test the self-driving cars in bad conditions, or in bad weather conditions. Now, as far as I'm concerned, obviously a lot of effort had to be put into this in order to make it come true. So that way people don't have to constantly put their hands on the wheel and constantly pay attention to the road. But you still have to, even if the car is doing all the work for you. Not only that, but you never know. You might have to take over the wheel again in case if the car has a problem. Therefore, it needs you to take control, and then you stop the car safely when it is safe to do so. And to test it in bad weather conditions, it's another thing for Google to learn, because in my last video that I made about this, I was like, I don't know how this is going to work out, because this is kind of like cruise control, except the car is doing all the braking and using the gas pedal for you to accelerate. Whereas cruise control, I mean, you still have to steer, and the self-driving car will steer for you. But at the same time, Google is really trying to make this happen from what I've seen so far. And if they're going to make it happen, they have to make sure it's safe. That's why they're testing it in these bad weather conditions now, which, from the sound of it, this project is still a prototype. So I don't know what can happen out there when it starts going through bad weather conditions: snow, rain, fog. Who knows how these things are going to react when it comes to these kinds of conditions? Because especially for snow. For snow, you're better off with four-wheel drive. Now, from what I've heard, if you have front-wheel drive, I mean, it's not the best, but it's better than rear-wheel drive. Then again, four-wheel drive is definitely the way to go. And I don't know how these self-driving cars are going to be able to handle the snow. Like, I've seen in the pictures how big the car is, and it's not that big. It looks like a smart car, kind of like those mini Fiats, or if they're even called smart cars. I don't know too much about those little cars, but I would think that for self-driving cars, it should have four-wheel drive in there, because if the self-driving cars are supposed to make the driver safe, but not having to constantly control the car 24/7 while operating it, then it's like, okay, it's got to have four-wheel drive. I mean, if you buy one with front-wheel drive, how is it going to react on its own? Or rear-wheel drive, how is it supposed to react on its own if it's going to slip? Now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably like, okay, the driver must take over now because the car is out of control. And then what happens if it's too late? Because once the driver gets that message, it's like, shouldn't this have been done sooner? I don't know. I would say for something like this, the car has to predict what's going to happen and warn the user ahead of time, or warn the driver ahead of time. So what do you guys think about this? For Google testing these cars in bad weather conditions, obviously it's not going to be perfect, but do you feel like it's safe to have self-driving cars become real, especially if it's in bad weather conditions? I mean, a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, are saying yes, that way they don't have to keep taking control of the car 24/7 while operating it. But at the same time, it's like, the car can fail on its own too, such as you as the driver failing to pay attention, and next thing you know, one mistake, it's the end of it right there. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, rate, comment. Also check out the description below for my social media links, Twitter and Instagram. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.